Chloe, her husband's aunt, called out of the blue, although there were no signs of problems. Victoria only hit her husband's relatives on vacation. The relatives lived at the other end of the city, and the aunts did not invite their nephew and his wife to visit them. Victoria didn't want to be related either. She decided not to insist because her husband Jack did not feel attracted to the fatherly. It was enough for her that her mother-in-law lived in the neighboring house. Her husband's father had died a long time ago, so that a polite long-distance communication was maintained. Congratulations on New Year's Eve, anniversaries, and occasional calls to inquire about the condition of the relatives. Jack himself did not make calls. It was mostly aunts or cousins who initiated the courtesy calls. Generally, the conversations revolved around seeking advice. Victoria was a skilled lawyer and was able to provide guidance and assistance in any matter, which was gladly utilized by the extended family. At times, Victoria herself was not pleased with her chosen profession, as it seemed that everyone constantly required her expertise. However, refusing to help would be considered impolite. Consequently, she had to provide advice free of charge and, on occasion, even seek assistance from her colleagues to tackle complex cases or problems. This situation became so uncomfortable for Victoria that she no longer dared to seek new inquiries, as it would be embarrassing in front of her colleagues. "You don't know how to say the word no, Victoria," her mother said to her. "You have a reputable profession and do complex things, but you can't even say a simple word with 3 letters." Victoria did not answer. She just laughed and helped those who approached her. On the other hand, Jack was not in a hurry to help anyone. He worked in the real estate industry and quickly rose to a senior position. He and Victoria were able to purchase a very nice apartment at a fair price, and also invested in several ongoing projects to secure a good and comfortable future. The family of Victoria and Jack was perfect when it came to their family and friends. Their success and happiness were always highlighted during family gatherings. In short, Victoria did not enjoy these gatherings for a specific reason, as she received too much attention. Everyone would approach her and tell her how fortunate Jack was to marry such an amazing woman, beautiful, intelligent, educated. They would always say that without her, Jack would not have succeeded and would still be a real estate agent. This annoyed Jack's mother-in-law, but she was a smart woman and would listen to the compliments meant for her daughter-in-law. Victoria and Jack had a good relationship with each other. Jack chose to ignore what their relatives said. He had a high opinion of himself and did not pay attention to gossip. So it happened that Jack and Victoria happened to meet his cousin and aunt in the shopping center the day before the call. Chloe was very excited about this random encounter. "Victoria, my darling, it's so nice to see you. All paths lead to the supermarket," she smiled, hugging her nephew's wife. Jack, meanwhile, went to the confectionery department to get his favorite cakes and hadn't heard of the meeting, but had chosen sweets in peace. "We live nearby. We buy in this shop," said Victoria. "It's a nice place. It's a nice area. School, metro, everything can be reached on foot." "Yes, that's right." "How long was it that you have moved here?" asked Jack's sister. 6 months ago." "I understand. We are looking for an apartment. Which building do you live in?" "Opposite the intersection." When they crossed the street, they must have seen it. "Oh, there is an expensive restaurant below. I have seen it. We looked at apartments in this building, but they are incredibly expensive. We can't afford that. We could take out a mortgage and sell yours for more." "Jack has the talent to sell expensive and buy cheap," laughed Chloe. "Oh, when you speak of the devil, hello, nephew." "Hello, Aunt Chloe." Jack put the box with the cakes in the basket and looked at his wife to signal that it was time to move on. "We actually have an appointment nearby. It was supposed to be earlier, but it was postponed. To be honest, we wanted to call and ask if we could visit you, but then we remembered that you were busy here. We can wait outside in the summer, but we can't stay out for long in the winter. Do you still need a lot of groceries, or can I go to the checkout?" Chloe looked at the pack of biscuits. "We can go," Victoria murmured. "Thank you very much, that's great. You were a tremendous help. It's great to have many relatives who can assist. Victoria was silent. She had never asked her relatives for assistance, preferring to do things on her own. Let's head to the cash register. Victoria typed with a shrug and nodded to her husband. Jack realized that he couldn't shake off his relatives and followed her. Chloe and her daughter didn't stay long. It wasn't necessary to set the table, but they didn't refuse tea and cake. Jack's apartment made a favorable impression on his cousin. One could see the numbers appearing in her head. Eventually, she couldn't help but ask the question that had been bothering her for a while. How much did you purchase the apartment for? Jack coughed, but replied. He said it honestly, because if he started the price too high, he looked too rich in the eyes of his relatives, and if he put it too low, they would not believe him. However, he was not very satisfied with Chloe's facial expression in response. Unrealistic price. We looked at the apartment. It is much smaller than yours and on the ground floor, so it is more expensive, said Chloe. That may be. I don't want to argue. I was just lucky. We bought during the construction phase, which is almost always cheaper. I have been a real estate agent for a long time and was able to find a good offer. This property developer also works with us, and you could say the conditions were ideal for us. It was a stroke of luck, Jack explained. I wish we could be like that. Do you have any other options in mind? Chloe asked. I'm not currently selling apartments. That's why I don't have any. Well, you still have connections. If you do us a favor, find us an apartment. What are you willing to pay? Chloe, you should go to a real estate agent. I don't trust them. They're swindlers. So you also think I'm a fraudster? Jack chuckled. You're my nephew. I trust you, so I'm asking you for help. Victoria always helps. When something happens, I always know who I can turn to. Now it's time for you to help us, she said, giving Victoria an impatient look. We'll try to do something for you, right, Jack? I'm sure you can give us the contacts of the brokers you've worked with. I can give you their phone number if you need it. Shoot off. We can use any help we can get. But only if it is an honest broker who doesn't cheat us, said Chloe. She wrote down the number of the seller and got ready for the meeting. Thanks for the delicious tea. We should go now. We will not invite you to a visit, but when we move in, we invite you to the inauguration party. She laughed and followed her work, and Victoria sighed relieved. Of course you would move. It is not clear what you expect. One is a pensioner and the other is a pharmacy employee, said Jack. You have savings, I assume. In addition, nobody has terminated the mortgage. Nobody will give you a mortgage if you do not have the necessary income, so they only waste the time of other people. We don't know how things really are. We shouldn't decide for others, said Victoria. She didn't feel like thinking about it. They had already bought their apartment, and the rest were not concerned. Not up to this sudden call. Victoria was just in the process of cleaning up and sorting the drawer, in which the folders were for their apartments with the ownership certificates. Yes. Victoria, hello, it's me, Chloe. Is Jack at home? No, he has not yet come home from work. Why isn't he? Is not he? Well, that's good. That's better. We'll talk without him. About what? Something happened. It is tense. I just wanted to thank you. They were very helpful. The broker was helpful and nice. And the most important thing, he showed us 3 wonderful apartments. One of them was perfect for us. I'll say, Jack, that you called and thank him, smiled Victoria. It's still too early. We have not yet completed the deal. We are in the queue. What confuses you? If it's a really nice apartment, you should take it before it is snapped away from you. That's why I'm calling. We need a deposit. We don't have the money. In fact, we have no money, so I thought I would come to you. To us? Victoria was surprised. Yes, you have a good income, so why should you donate part of the money for a good cause and share it with your relatives? You already have an apartment, so there will be no expenses in the near future. And we give something back if we can. Quite fair. How much do you need? 3 million. Sorry, Chloe, but how do you know that I have so much money? Victoria grabbed air. That's obvious. Poor people don't live like you. And Jack often bragged about his wealth and success. "You are a role model for us," said her aunt. "Unfortunately, I have to disappoint you, but we are not in a savings shop. That's not the kind of money usually stored on a card as pocket money." "Where are your savings?" "We invest in real estate. Jack told me that we still have a few properties under construction." "Oh, is that so? Well, that makes things even easier. We can either sell one of your apartments or take out a loan. Then you can keep the apartment and have the money." Victoria was so surprised by Chloe's words that she did not answer immediately. "Of course we will try to pay off the loan as quickly as possible. Of course not immediately, but gradually, so don't worry, you have nothing to lose. But I understand that you need to inform your husband, so I don't insist, but wait for your call until tomorrow. We need to sort things out and move as quickly as possible. You can send the money directly to his colleague. He knows what it is for and where it is going. I've already discussed everything with him." "Chloe, how could you make the arrangements without us?" She was even more tense. "I know that Jack is a difficult man, like his late father. He probably won't agree to a deal, but he will listen to you. So don't ask him to think about it, just tell him that we have decided, and we need it more than ourselves." "Do you need it more than us?" Victoria asked in a muffled voice. "So that's it." Victoria couldn't believe that one of her husband's relatives could say something like that. But for some reason this situation made her feel uneasy, uncomfortable, as if she owed them something. She owed it to them to help them intervene, to figure out what to do in this situation. The break dragged on. Victoria became more and more worried. She even wanted to say that she would discuss the situation with her husband. But her mother's words suddenly came to her mind. "You don't know how to say the word no, Victoria. You should learn to say no. You can't help everyone, and a lot of people are happy to breathe down your neck. You know, Chloe, you'd better ask other relatives for help. Jack and I did what we could to help you. I wish you a nice day," Victoria said and hung up. It was easier for her to hang up than to say no, and yet the first step had been taken. Only time would tell if she had done the right thing. But Jack, who came home from work and heard about the call, immediately supported his wife. She had done the right thing. "You have to be cheeky, he said. Chloe called a few more times and even came to Victoria's work, but the conversation was brief. The relatives had to buy a simpler apartment and take on other debts.